What are the nominees so far?
We've got The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari. I Know Sound of Metal. Trial of the Chicago 7 is also nominated.
No.
Oh,
Damn it!
No!
Damn it!
Sorry, I'm
If I
tardy.
knew, I
was
would
at,
have.
Sorry, I'm a little late, gentlemen. Happy Oscar Sunday, gentlemen.
The past 2 Oscars have been won by Asian directors, and Chloe Zhao is the second woman in like 93 years to win for Best Picture. Sorry, not Best Picture, Best Director.
Best director. That's insane.
So are Asian getting their are they getting the reparations in the form of Oscars now? Is that the vibe?
I guess so.
I can hope so. I hope
it's
I
like a millimeter in the right direction. So
I love that. That's so fucking funny.
On that note, I feel like that could give a good segue to things that might be improvements. Fucking Derek Chauvin is guilty on all counts of murder.
I don't have any like.
Here's the thing, right? We'll see if it gets a fucking retrial or whatever.
My issue with that though is people were posting on like Instagram and stuff and being like justice and like calling it justice.
Not even close.
And it's
justice.
like it's not. It's just like the right thing. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't make it justice because like people are dead and he's just going to prison for up to 40 years or whatever, right? Or up to 20 or whatever.
So on that note, because like the maximum sentencing that can be carried out for his charges is 40 years, but in practice it usually only gets 15 years. But the other asterisk on that is that there was a little girl who was present. I think she was 9 years old. And one thing that the law pretty much unanimously cares about is kids. So like, for example, like porn is pretty cool in most places. Child porn, you're done. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. If a kid's involved, you're fucked. And so
I feel like that's just like a like in prison, it's known if you're like a child molester or you kill a child, when you go to prison, you're done.
I was gonna say, that was the thing when murdering too.
What I'm saying is specifically though, the fact that a little kid witnessed this murder means that they can crank his sentence over.
Good.
So hopefully it comes to something. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I think prison's way too easy for this scumbag. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw some newspaper in Australia. They had the most succinct, brilliant headline ever. It says, "Murderer caught on camera doing a murder is found guilty of murder." It's
so
like,
gnarly.
Call it what it is. Like I don't know.
It's like, why was there even a discuss? Like, I get that. Like, I don't know. It's just the fact that it got politicized, and that's my problem. Right? Is that people, we can talk about both sides, but like typically people on the right politicize this kind of shit, and you're like, there's nothing political about Black Lives Matter. I get that there's something political about the actual group, right? They're like a political group, but like the idea, like the words, there's nothing political about that. There's nothing political about locking up a cop for killing somebody who's unarmed, like unlawfully. There's no politics about it. And the fact that it gets politicized is just fucking insane. And it's like, why are we expecting them not to do the right thing? And it's like, that's where the conversation comes in. It's like, it's so sad that like the Chicago PD Twitter page tweeted, "We are all Derek Chauvin." It's like, yeah, that's the point.
What?
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yep.
Let me see if I can find it.
Because like,
they probably deleted it by now.
The thing is, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, innocent. Like he honestly shouldn't have gotten a fucking trial."
Oh,
they're like innocent till proven guilty. There's a video. We saw it. There's a video. I will say, semi hot take. I don't think prison is too hard for him because he's a cop who everyone knows he's walking into prison. I don't know how well he's gonna do.
Here's my thing. I think
prison's also pretty fucking bad. Like,
yeah, but we shouldn't. That's the thing, is that we shouldn't expect the actual justice to be taken out by, like, you shouldn't wish prison violence on somebody. There shouldn't be violence in prison in the first place. That's the point, right? It's like
this probably be protected. The guards,
the guards will protect him, and the fucking racists will protect him too. Probably they care more that he's a fucking scumbag and killed a black man than they care about him being a cop. I think cops should be held to a higher standard than people. If we put them on a pedestal the way we put like fucking superheroes on a pedestal, then when they break the law, when they commit crimes, it should just be way more harsh. It's like you have been given this like responsibility to carry around a fucking gun, and you have this badge on you and a bulletproof vest in this car, and you have a rifle in your car, and it's like you get to carry that around with you for 10 hours a day, whatever. And then people like are defending you when you beat the shit out of somebody on the street. It's like, why is anybody defending the Terminator for beating a man up who can't even fight back? And it's insane to me. Like, I'm not, and again, we've had this discussion before. I'm not like anti the people who are the police. You know what I mean? I have nothing against those people, but they're individuals. They have lives. They're, you know, generally if you sat them down and talked to them, they'd probably be a fine person. But like, why are we as people expected to like be on our best behavior 24/7 so that fucking Terminator who is allowed to murder us in the street doesn't fucking kill us in front of our family? It's just insane. It's like
extrajudicial hit squad could just pull up on you whenever.
They could just come to your house and fucking kill you and
it's
turn
Judge
off the
Dredd,
body
bro.
cams. Yeah, literally. Yeah. And it's like, why? And then for people who like say they care about like us as in black people to then defend that shit, it's like, how do you defend that? They're getting away with it anyways, so why are you caping for them? Like, they're gonna get away with it, so why not be hard on them? They don't gain anything from you defending them, and you don't gain shit either because you're poor just like the fucking rest of us, and they're not here to defend you. They're here to defend rich people's property. And that's how it's always been. I'm sorry, I'm turning red because I'm fucking heated.
No, you're good, but
we should intro the show.
That's literally what I was trying to say.
Let me just take off my jacket because I don't want to wear this.
Welcome to Indistinct Chatter. I'm Tanner.
I'm Austin.
I'm Griffin.
And I'm Vlad.
Welcome to the show. Let's get into it.
Okay, so I have a question for Vlad, and don't answer the question yet. I'm going to ask it, but I want everybody to guess before you answer the question.
Okay.
Did you tie that bow tie yourself? I'm going to say you did. Anybody else?
I believe he did.
I don't believe he did.
I did.
Hey!
Yes.
Yeah. I was in high school and I was a junior and I was going to homecoming, which I actually double dated with Tanner. And I wanted to wear a bow tie. I had this purple bow tie. And I literally was like, I'm going to learn how to tie this. So I like taught myself how to tie the bow tie junior year of high school. And then I've just known ever since. But I haven't tied one literally since the last Oscars, in which I wore pretty much this exact outfit to work. Like I wore it to my job because I worked on Oscar Sunday last year. And so I haven't tied a bow tie since then. And so when I was like in the bathroom, I like put it on and I tied it like in 2 minutes tops. And I literally looked at myself and I was like,
muscle memory.
I was like, I could still do this. And I was like tight. And then
Spider-Man.
that was it.
What did you guys want to be when you grew up? And like, do you guys still have that dream?
A pilot.
Yeah.
Oh.
I wanted to be a pilot in the second grade. Like literally when they asked you in the second grade, what do you want to be? And we wrote it on papers and threw it on the door. I wanted to be a pilot. I love flying. Even now, if I'm in an airplane going somewhere, I'm just like, this is the best. But what I never wanted to be a firefighter, but like I looked up to firefighters like nothing else. I used to watch Fire Rescue, I think was the name of the show or something like that. Rescue Heroes. That was what it was called.
Oh! Dude, I still have so many Rescue Heroes toys.
Dude,
those things go hard.
I used to
Billy
like
this nigga got toys.
I love
I got
Billy
mad
Blazes.
toys. Dude, I have
toys.
Gundams. I have Gundams out the ass.
Ooh, I used to have
here.
Gundam, Star Wars figures, Transformers. I used to have everything. I like sold everything
When I
in
was
high
a
school.
kid.
But wow.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a Gundam pilot. No. I wanted to play in the MLB. That was like my dream. Baseball player, and I was, I was within spitting distance of that, I guess. Like, I was really good at baseball.
And
but
then
yeah. Oh fuck no! I wanted to play baseball. I loved sports, so anything like wanted to play football, wanted to play soccer, all that. Like like as a kid, I was like, I want to be a fucking superhero. I mean, I want to fly.
Mm.
That's like all I care
Sure.
about. Like I fucking.
Tanner, what about you?
Well, funny enough, I wanted to be a lot of things, which is probably how I got into acting and then getting into the other stuff. I looked off earlier because when you said that, I got just a pit feeling in my stomach because for the longest, like up until high school, I wanted to be not a cop, but a detective. But I knew that I had to be a cop to be a detective. So I was like, I guess I'm not going to be a detective. But yeah, I really wanted to like just solve crimes. Like this is a really fucked up joke. And it's like mostly serious. Where I've always said I wanted to be a PI, but like a real life PI, I like looks into like cheating scandals and shit. I want to find people's like missing kids. Or like race against the clock. Like I want to be a movie PI where like I'm always racing against the clock. Yeah, it's like everything.
Your life
everything is life or death.
24.
Exactly. Where I'm just like I want a fucking assistant, and I'll just be like, darling, get me a bottle of bourbon. It's gonna be a long one.
Yeah, jazz, and it's always raining.
I just want to live in a noir film. I just want to live in a noir film, man.
Spider noir.
Dude, you know,
Wherever
you're
I
not
go,
off.
the wind blows.
Yeah, that's not off from what I think I wanted to. That's just like being a cool
I wanted to be a
50s
detective
guy.
to like solve crimes and stuff. That's tight.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, no, I genuinely,
doing something?
I genuinely wanted to be like a detective, and I used to love cop movies, like any movie that like the main characters were police officers.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck yeah, let's go law. And now
that's your cop propaganda right there.
And now
Trying to convince kids to be cops. It's like, don't do it.
The cop
Get
industrial
better
pipeline.
grades.
Yeah. For me, it was
they get better grades.
Yeah. Look, just reach higher than cop. You know what I mean?
Hey,
like, it's a fine profession, you know. I guess.
Johnny out there in the middle of nowhere. I graduated high school with a 2.12 GPA, and I'm not gonna become a cop. You can do the same.
Or join the military.
You
it's
can
like,
do the
are
same.
you poor and of color? Why don't you join the
That
military?
reminds me of that TikTok going around about the Navy. I signed up for Old Navy. We get military discounts. And
You signed up for the Navy.
You signed up for the Navy. That makes sense why they didn't mention their spring collection.
I don't want a gun. Maybe a price gun. Boop, boop. These jeans are 25% off.
That shit's
Griff,
fun.
what
That
about
shit
you?
is so funny.
Yeah, for me, it actually makes perfect sense. Right
You
there.
wanted to be
driver?
like a professional
You
driver?
wanted to be white trash, dude.
I don't know about right
Fuck yeah.
trash.
Wait,
No,
whoa,
because
whoa.
my family, we're all a bunch of grease monkeys. Like that's my family's industry. We're pretty big in the auto industry. And so I used to go to these things all the time. I actually have a signed Ryan Newman hood back when he was driving for the Mobile One team, signed to me, like his signature saying, "Hey, to Griffin,
So
happy
tight.
birthday," whatever. Yeah, whatever it was for. And so like racing is and always was in my blood. That's why I love like going off-roading all damn day too. Just gunning it like 50 miles an hour through like sheer cliff faces and everything. Like I just always driving. Like I'm not like the biggest car guy. I'm not sitting there tinkering with like, oh, my car's a turbo, it's a V6 inline, all that kind of crap. But I can
V6 inline is the funniest thing that it is. I'm sorry. Those are two opposite things.
Yeah, because V and then you're right. My
Inline,
bad.
yeah.
But goddamn, I can whip a car. And I still think about that to this day, and that's why I'm going out all damn day and making us late to record because
You should build a drift car.
Driving, man. Hopefully tomorrow when I get my goddamn car.
Drifting's a cheaper hobby to get into.
I was gonna say,
like for motorsport.
another thing that I've wanted to be for a long time, which as the days go on and I still don't get my unemployment from the government, and they're not answering their phones.
That part.
A getaway driver for heists and whatnot is something I've definitely wanted to do for.
So, is it safe to say your ambition started and ended with whatever movie you watched that night?
No, this was like a childhood thing. I was like, yo, driving a car real fast, running from people. That sounds tight.
I'd
Yeah.
love to
When I
see
got-
Griffin and Tanner race.
When I got out of high school, I was like,
I'd
maybe I should
dust
get
them.
into crime.
Yeah,
I was like,
no, you wouldn't. Both of you shut up. Anyway, Austin, go ahead.
What?
I was like,
Because both of you are gonna go, I'll easily win. Yeah, okay.
Tanner,
Anyway.
next time you're in Phoenix, we're gonna hit K1 speed factor.
No, but
I'm
you
just gonna
guys
kick
need
your
to use
ass.
the right
dude.
cars. You're
Well, I
not
was
gonna
gonna
rent
If
say,
it's
first
K1,
off, my
Nissan.
car versus any car that you're gonna have is probably.
no,
I
he said
tried-
K1 Speedway.
Yeah,
Everybody in the same
that way
car.
it's equal.
Well, that's different.
Well, also-
It's the
go-karting is
fairest
say
race
this.
we can have.
No. No, because truthfully, for me to win a race, there's got to be
Yes,
traffic.
to have traffic. Yeah. Tanner drives like he's ready to die.
Yeah, it sounds like there's traffic in a. If you're better than other drivers, there's traffic on a racetrack.
That's not racing. That's suicide. That's a man who wants to
Things
die.
like traffic.
Nah, that's a man who wants to live.
I got too much living to do to die.
So, as Griff mentioned earlier, Derek Chauvin verdict came out. He was guilty on all 3 charges in the murder of George Floyd. LeBron James apparently posted a picture of, it looks like, what the fuck, is that just my nose ring? Okay. He posted a picture of, I think it was the officer who shot Michaela Bryant. Is that how you say her name? It's Michaela?
I
Michaela?
believe so.
I want to get it right. Michaela.
The young girl who's like what? How old?
16.
16.
But I guess he posted, it looks like, I don't know if it's the guy or not, but that's who I assume. It's a picture of an officer and he says, "You're next, #accountability." Meaning
So why?
you're going to get like arrested and charged. The right has taken it to say that LeBron James targeted this man and is now threatening him in his life. And they're saying that he put a target on his back.
I understand.
Because they're fucking stupid. Okay.
Yeah.
That part.
That's insane then, because I was seeing all over Instagram like pictures of LeBron with the literally the words over it, boycott Space Jam 2. Like all over, like suggested from like different pages. But most of them were pages not saying we're gonna boycott Space Jam 2. It's just people saying, hey, people are boycotting Space Jam 2.
I got to admit something about all the stuff that's happened in this like last week and a half or whatever, with regards to police violence against Black people, and just kind of in general in the last year, ever since George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and so many others. I don't keep up with it anymore.
It's impossible.
Not even because it's impossible, because I mean, I'm a journalist. I could keep up with it if I wanted to. I don't have the emotional bandwidth to. And for that matter, the intellectual bandwidth, I guess, because, and that's not to say like, oh, I'm too stupid to get the nuance. Okay, sure, maybe this 16-year-old girl, Michaela Bryant, yeah, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I just genuinely haven't looked into the case at all. She's the one with the knife. It is possible that it was about to get really deadly and the officer needed to do this. That being said, that doesn't change the fact that there have been a lot of deaths of people who it didn't need to happen to. You know,
well, just
police
in
violence
general,
is,
no one needs to die. Like they have
Exactly.
so many other disarming tactics. They've got mace, they've got tasers, they've got rubber bullets. Like,
But if
why
they can't tell between a taser and a gun.
That's right.
Fuck.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
not a rule for a cop. You don't have
and I mean,
Somebody-
my thing is just that it's like, dude, I'm sorry to all these people who are losing their lives. And like, it's not me not looking into it because I don't respect their deaths, because I do respect their deaths, and it's a pity. It is a fucking, it is an epidemic of what's happening to Black people in this country, what's happened for the last 500 years. It's fucking awful. But I know it's awful. Like, I only get sadder and thrust into such a worse place the more I hear this, and it's never going to change in the system the way that it's currently set up.
We're numb to it.
We're numb to it. And I feel bad because I want to keep up with this stuff. Like, I feel like I'm not doing my duty as a Black person for not crying every time I hear this happening. And it's like, I mean, I just can't anymore because I've done that enough. I've done enough crying. I will be fully debilitated every time I hear this because it happened like 3 times last week in like a day, damn near.
And I think too, what's hard, especially for like us and people our age, like obviously older people, it's heartbreaking every time, but I feel like they can get so much more emotional because I feel like older generations aren't as numb to this because they didn't hear about it as much. They obviously knew it was going on, but you didn't have to see the face and know the name and see the parents and literally see every aspect at all times. Like literally, every time this happens, this almost feels like a daily occurrence now. And every time we see someone else's like that's the first thing that we're seeing is this person's mother's or this person's family's reaction to this. Like we're getting so much more information on this stuff that it's just like, how can we not be numb to it? Because it's like at this point, it's like we're either going to be numb to it or we're just going to be so filled with dread and sadness that like we like can't go on or do anything else. Like we're all numbing ourselves essentially to try and I guess keep going, and that's really fucking sad that we even have to do that.
This article from AP, just to put it in perspective, 1 verdict, then 6 police killings across America in 24 hours.
Jesus Christ. We used to work with a guy named Rodney, and he's extremely like politically intelligent, and he once said to me, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, every single time a police officer kills a civilian, whether they're unarmed or not, it's a failing of the system. There's no reason that this should even happen. There should never be a point where it comes to that ever. That we put into policing and like people can we put into social programs, housing people, housing the homeless, helping people, drug addiction, health issues. All those things are what contribute to people then being.
Austin's internet is garbage, so we had to switch to his phone.
My point was that there's so many resources that can be put into preventing crime that like could actually stop these events from even happening in the first place. And so that was my whole point. And it's like people hear defund the police and then they're like, well, like they need money for training. It's like, dude, the training doesn't work. They can't tell the fucking difference between a pistol and a taser. What do they need more money for training for? What do they need tanks for? If somebody who's been in the force for 30 years almost can't tell the difference between a taser and a pistol just by the way it feels, and I know from shooting guns how it feels to pull a trigger that has a 45-pound pull on it.
It's a lot.
It's like you have to use all of your force. Like your forearm is like it's like
you're fully
lifting weights. I mean, it's literally 45 pounds to pull it, and it's like that doesn't happen on accident. So it's like
especially if you have a double action or something, that's a long pull for you to realize.
It's a super long pull.
Hold on a second.
Yeah. And so there's just so much that's just like, that's what your point was. There's nothing we can do in this system. And that's the thing is you can't reform this. You need to completely tear it down and put a new system into place. And it's like, people hear socialism and they hear defund and stuff like that. And it's like, they think of those as bad words. And it's like, it's something about taking more money from you. It's about being smart the way we allocate the money we're already taking from people. I already pay my taxes. I just want to make sure that shit goes to something that actually matters and not to like a single Tomahawk missile getting fired at some dude in the Middle East who had nothing to do with what was happening. It's like that shit's just so sad. It's like that money can go to help so many people and it could prevent so much from, and that's the biggest issue, right? Is like we live in a capitalistic society that benefits from like that benefits from this. People are being killed in the street, and it's not that it's like neutral. It's literally benefiting from it. And it's like, to see that happen and then for people to defend it, and it's just insane. I just can't. It's almost unfathomable. Like, I just can't. Yeah.
One thing that really pisses me off about the nature of our system, this isn't specifically with regards to policing, but with regards to broader criminal justice, or the lack thereof, is the simple fact that our criminal justice system, in particular, when it comes to these kind of civil rights cases of white cops, or just cops in general murdering innocent Black people, so much of our judicial system, honestly, outside of these cases as well, is just, how do we slander the victim, especially when they're dead? George Floyd, they're immediately like, he was on drugs, he was on this, he was that, he had terrible heart problems. They're just dragging him through the mud, when everyone agrees, if Derek Chauvin didn't show up that day, he would be alive, regardless of if he's done drugs before, and regardless of if he's had heart problems. And I mean, the thing that really pisses me off is people immediately bring up like, well, he wasn't a good guy, he's done drugs, he's done this, he's done that. Guess what? I grew up in North Central Phoenix. I've seen half of my friends do cocaine, and they're all white. I can call a cop on him right now and say, this guy's done cocaine. Is he going to get shot? Fuck no, he's not. Yeah, I mean, people don't, it's literally just colorist. I mean, as we all obviously know, but it's like, dude, it's just such a load of shit. It's like, he's beat his wife. Man, I watched a white kid beat his girlfriend like a year ago at a party. Why isn't he dead? You know?
Yeah. And
that didn't actually happen, by the way. I would step in if I saw something like that. Let me get that out of the way. But like, you see this type of shit all the time, but as soon as it's a Black person, it's like, so yeah, he deserved to die. The fuck?
Yeah. The point is that no matter what somebody does, it's like, that's the reason the criminal justice, that's the reason why we have that shit. That's why it exists. It's not like a death sentence to resist arrest, not a death sentence to not pay your taxes or any of this other shit. That shit doesn't then mean, you like, it's like, well, the guy did this thing. It's like, yeah, but like, does that mean he should die?
Now. Like,
yeah,
he's
it's like,
dead now.
he assaulted somebody 6 years ago.
You definitely aren't going to get his tax money if he's dead.
That's true. But they're gonna make a bunch of money off.
My mom posted like a thing on Facebook, and it was just like, these are like things that are not punishable by death. And it was just like resisting arrest, not wearing your seatbelt, not using a turn signal. Like those are not. Shit doesn't
mean you should be dead.
Exactly. Yeah. None of these are things. So that's like, you really can't. You can't avoid racism, especially when you like stare at it and ask it dead on, where it's just like, it's so interesting to watch people's reactions when, if you do have, a white person being like, oh, well, if they didn't do this, then they shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have resisted or something like that. And it's just like, okay, let me ask you this. If you have a child and your child does something, makes a mistake, we all make mistakes, but they do something in which they are up against police and they begin to resist arrest, maybe they did some drugs and the police officer shot your child. They were resisting arrest, they were on drugs, so your child deserved to die, right? It's like, well, no, because the officer was being aggressive, and be like, okay, same thing happened to this guy over here that you literally just tried to justify his death with what you're trying. Like, that's the thing, is so many people, Griff, like you said, a lot of people in college that a lot of people that I went to high school, and just people in general.
I'm talking
that I
elementary
know.
school, like way back. I mean, they weren't snorting cocaine back in
not
elementary
back then.
school, but like, like from all
they're
over.
doing coke. They will smoke weed and be like, I'm talking, they'll be like, yeah, I smoke while I drive. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you smoke weed while you drive? Like, bro, how are you not terrified of being pulled over and immediately killed? And it's like, oh, that's right.
Because of this thing here,
you.
That skin tone.
It's just wild, man. It's truly just wild. Vlad, I know you've purposefully been quiet on this. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts in any capacity.
There's nothing more to say, and there's nothing that I could say that that wouldn't have already been said, and a lot of what y'all have said isn't even what I would say, because like the fact of the matter is I don't get it, you know. Like I recently there was like where I work, there were these talks that like some people have encountered like guys ganging up on them and stuff in the night, not necessarily like kidnapping or harming anyone or whatever, but the store that I work at is like in a mall, and it's a retail store, and it's been open later than any other store for the most part. And apparently recently there have been like people waiting for employees that are coming out. I'm fortunate enough to where I open like exclusively, like I'm always there in the morning. I leave by like 5:30 or whatever. I have the rest of my day. I've like made my schedule that way to not have work dictate my life. But I was thinking about it and hearing about all of this, and a lot of my coworkers, you know, there's a little level of fear, and people have been like, the closers have been walking out together and everything. But I was thinking about it, and it wouldn't be a worry that I would have either way, because I know that I'm walking out as a man. And thinking about that is something where I remember a few years ago, it was like a friend of mine, I think, I don't remember how the conversation got to it, but she had asked, when you walk down the street at night, what goes through your mind? And I said, I'm just walking to where I'm going. Like, if she's like, if you're walking to your car at night, what do you think about? And I would be like, I don't know, like something random. Like, I'm about to get in my car. Oh, I'll go home. Oh, playing a video game when I get home, whatever. And she's like, when I walk, I consistently think about what's around me. Am I in danger? And that ties into this, where it's like, when I walk around, if I'm driving and I'm going a little over the speed limit, yes, there's the fear of being pulled over, because I haven't been pulled over yet, knock on wood. I'd like for that not to happen. But I have the fear because I just don't want to get in trouble and encounter law enforcement in any way, because that's the kind of person I am. There's nothing else that goes through my mind, because I don't get the fear of encountering a officer of the law and like losing my life because of that. It's the same thing like at night when I walk. At night when I'm leaving work, even if I was closing, I wouldn't get the fear that a woman gets when she's walking alone in a neighborhood or anywhere. It's tough because I recognize all these issues, and I'd like to do as much as I can, and I'd love to learn. And that's why we've had conversations on this all the time. I've sent ignorant things sometimes. I viewed in a very, I'd like to say, like, occasionally I try to view it in a very open way where you see both sides. But the fact of the matter is sometimes you're not supposed to see both sides, because one side is clearly doing something that it shouldn't. And this is a subject where that's the case. I mean, we've talked about it where sometimes I've gone and like said, I don't like the phrase like fuck all cops, or I don't like the idea of defunding the police in the sense of completely vanishing like law enforcement, because a lot of people actually rely on it in cases where it has saved their lives. But that doesn't change anything that the institution that's been set up and has been a part of this country's history for so long has its flaws, and nothing will happen if a big change doesn't happen. And the biggest issue is that people have had to die for that to happen, and more people will die before it even happens. But it's at the end of the day, it's like, we joke about it all the time, but I'm a white guy, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. And as much as I want to, and as much as I'll try to, I never will truly get it. And all I can try to do is just listen and do what I can and do my part. But even at the end of the day, like, who I am now with my job and my age and everything, what have I really done that's a step towards fixing this? And being completely honest, I haven't done anything other than having conversations. So that's why I don't know. That's why I've stayed quiet, because first of all, I want to hear what y'all have to say on it anyway. But second of all, in multiple instances, I feel like it's time for me to listen, and more people like me should listen instead of try to say something before listening to the stories that they need to hear.
Well, it's funny you say that last part, because the George Floyd Memorial Square, I believe is what it's called, they just kind of went viral, I guess, because they had a sign out front of it that was basically rules of how to enter, and then at the end of it, it said, and for our white guests. They said it in like a more proper way, but essentially, again, in a more proper way, it came down to kind of shut up, know your place. This isn't about you.
It's the best thing to do.
Yeah, shut up and listen. If you see somebody who looks like you, if you see another white boy fucking around, put him in check, because we are going through enough. We don't want to be responsible for some jackass. Please help us out, because we're already tired. And it was basically rules specifically for white people, like saying how to engage with this space. And I mean, that's frankly all you can do. It's funny because one of my degrees is in political science. So you would think that I feel like poli-sci kids, they go one of two ways, where they're like, yeah, I want to be a politician, this works. Or they're going to be like, this doesn't fucking work. I'm the latter, because like for a while I'm like, yeah, you know, you can be a congressman, you could be a politician, you can work for the Justice Department, and you'll get it done. You won't, as at the end of the day. And so the unfortunate truth is, all we can do as individuals, but really collectively as a nation, is just talk about it. And it's sickening, because we're going to talk and talk and talk all day, and so many more of us are going to die because all we do is talk.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully one day something will happen, but there's quite literally nothing you can do. Like, and that's the whole idea, is like trying to change from the inside. It's like, you're still required, no matter what you're doing on the inside, unless you're not doing your job and not doing what's going to get you elected or keep that position, unless you're not doing those things. And if you're not going to have it. You're participating and you're contributing to this pain and this. So it's like, that's a weird thing. It's like people are like, oh, like I'm gonna, you know, run as a Democrat, but I'm gonna and you know, enact these socialist ideals, and it's like it never happens, because it's like you work for them now, you know, you're on the other side. Like there's nothing you can do. Yeah,
like that, and that's why I like to stay quiet in a lot of these conversations. There's the aspect of I just hate politics in general, but even if I don't enjoy politics, ignoring it and not knowing what's going on just lends to the problem and supports it. But in a lot of these cases, I don't know, especially with y'all, you know, all of you are like, the three of you are some of my closest friends, and we talk like every day. I feel like jumping on conversations and trying to push the whole, like, I'm an ally, trust me, I'm an ally. When I see that kind of stuff, and I see other people that are not of color on like Instagram and stuff posting, it's fine if they're posting facts and information and trying to spread the conversation. That's what we should be doing. But I've seen people be like, I stand with you and I do this and that. It's like, don't say it, just do it. Like saying that I'm an ally and saying I support you and I see there's a problem, like that's not going to fix anything. And if you're like, I don't know, it's my, I guess, viewpoint on it, where I don't think I have to say that to any of y'all. I think if I'm truly standing for that, you guys will know. And through like actions, that should be enough. Which is why I like having those tough conversations. And I had some of them watch this show, so I'll whatever, we'll keep this in. But I was part of a friend group for 9 years, 2012 pretty much until now. Most of them I went to middle school with. The ones that are actually part of the problem won't watch this, so it won't matter. But I went to middle school with a lot of these guys, and they were some of my closest friends for like the longest time. And it got to the point where a lot of the things that some of the guys in the group were saying, it's not even that they didn't agree politically with me. It's not even that it was conflicting ideals. It was an issue that I just had with the lack of care for human decency, and like the like lack of just care for not even equality necessarily, but just treating everyone right and treating people with kindness and understanding that every human has value. They would say a lot of ignorant things that I would strike conversations with them. I wouldn't hear it and just let it like settle with me. I would ask, why are you saying this? Why are you thinking that? And we would have a lot of tough conversations. And throughout like the last year, like I've kind of broken those almost decade-long friendships with these people. And it's that kind of stuff that just gets to me, like knowing that you can be fine in all of these aspects and, you know, being like a cool guy and I'll talk to you and we'll play video games. It'll be fun. And then I hear that you just don't care that people are dying in the street and that you're sick of people rioting and you're tired of hearing that people are protesting, peacefully protesting about the stuff. That's the stuff that I just can't get behind. And I'm not saying I've been part of the tough conversations, but you need to have those tough conversations where you need to call people out and you just need to put them on check. And I don't know. I think more people need that. And I don't think people of color should be the ones doing that. I think people like, I don't know. It's so tough to not like just say, I think white people need to do this.
That's
But I
definitely
think
part
that's
of the.
that's part
That's
of
part
like
of
what
it.
it is.
It's like black people shouldn't be the ones dismantling white supremacy. It should be white people. And it's like we've been doing it forever. And if we don't have help from other people, it's never gonna fucking happen. I probably have said this to you guys before, but when like the Proposition 8 thing stuff was going on, I was
Is that
getting
a
to voting
California
age.
thing? Because I haven't heard of that.
Yeah. So Prop 8 was the Marriage Equality Act here in California. And I was getting to voting age around that time. And so I was speaking on it because I cared a lot about it. And I cared a lot about people who are, you know, same-sex marriage, whatever, you know, like that shit matters. And I remember somebody being like, why do you care? Because it doesn't affect, like, you're not, you know, gonna get gay married, you're a straight man, or you're not gonna, you know, whatever. And I was like, yeah, but like, I don't know personally what it's like, but I know my aunt used to work with Jesse Jackson in his office, and she would say like, if white people didn't march with black folks, it would just be a bunch of black people complaining. Like if they weren't there with us walking hand in hand, nothing would have happened. And so when I see, you know, people that I loved at the time, like, you know, queer folk, like talking about it, and they're like, man, like one day I hope to be able to marry the person that I love regardless of their gender or whatever identity. And I was like, if I, as somebody who claims to love them and, you know, like respect them, not speak on that, like then nothing's gonna happen, because at that point it's just them complaining. But if you can, to these people, make it look like it's a movement and be like, it's not just them asking for this, it's people who aren't going to benefit necessarily from this saying something about it, then to them that makes it real. And so I think that's why it's important for, even like we say, like to just be quiet and listen, it's also important to be part of the conversation, because if you are, like you said, you would speak up and say something because you relate to them. And if it wasn't you, that nothing would have happened. And whether they changed or not, or whether they decided, you know, to stop doing that or not, or to look inside themselves and see why they were doing that, at least you gave, you know, you did the right thing. And it's like, this shit doesn't affect me. I'm not gay, I'm not black, I'm not whatever, but I'm going to say something about it because it's just the right thing to do. And so, yeah, I mean, if it was just us doing it, nothing would happen, you know?
A lot of this shit doesn't affect you, so why not help? You know, like, again, doing the right thing. Of like, I don't know, the super just top of my head example. Say you see a homeless guy on the street, you got $15 in your pocket that you can give to him. Like, you know, if you gave him the $15, like, you'd be fine the rest of the day. So that's the thing, is you give him the $15, you still go home to your house, your life still continues, you can still do stuff, but you've also just like helped someone out. And it was super simple. So it's just like having these conversations, or even just letting people, like, again, same-sex marriage is like, what the fuck does it matter to you if Gary and Chad get married out in Indianapolis, meanwhile you live in fucking Idaho? Why do you care? Why do you care? And so it's just like, why are you gonna defend a cop on the other side of the country for murdering someone when it would affect you just as much? Actually, to be honest, it would affect you more in a better way if you actually spoke up for the victim of the murder and not defend the cop. Like, that's the thing, is all these people defending the cop, like, in doing so, it's gonna better their lives and it's gonna make things better. But it's like, hey, maybe if you had some empathy and you looked at how black people view this, and you obviously not go through, but you try and share some of their experiences, or at least get an understanding of their experiences, you could make a friend. You could make new members of your family. You could just see the world in a much better light, instead of, I don't know,
You can make your neighbors feel comfortable.
Honestly. And it might sound dramatic, but you could go from seeing a restaurant server to, as Jess, who works at the restaurant I go to. Like, I don't know. Like, I definitely feel like there's a disconnect. Obviously, when you're racist, you're racist. But
I was gonna say, yeah, some people just
feel
don't
Is that the
care.
title?
Yeah.
that might be the
When you're
title.
racist,
When you're racist, you're racist.
It's the issue of some people just don't care, and white people, especially older white people, fall victim to not liking change. Older people just in general don't like change. Like, statistically, I'm almost certain younger people are more liberal and left, and then as you get older, a lot more older folks in America are more conservative and right, because the liberal side, and I'm using those terms very loosely because it is still American politics, the liberal side, as we see it, is all about change and changing and fixing. And the conservative side is everything's good, don't touch it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, And so it really comes down to older white folks just not wanting change. And they're like, well, if people of color are being discriminated on, but I'm living in my house and I get police here in 5 minutes tops, then why am I going to give them equality? Because that'll take away from my benefits. I'll be, like, it's the same thing with paying taxes. If you're richer, like, if you pay the same amount of percent, well, but now I have less money, I like having my $1 million. I like having my police in here in a minute and not questioning me and asking who is bothering me. I like knowing that I can sleep super easy and not worry and walk down the street or be pulled by an officer and talk my way out of a speeding ticket. That's really what it is. It's, they don't want to share the fruits of their labor, even though it's not even their labor. They're not working for shit.
Yeah, I had a good conversation with my mom about it, and I was like, she's like, are these people that I thought were my friends? I mean, like, are they racist? And I was like, I don't think they're outwardly they don't have like that hate in their heart, but they don't know that they benefit from white supremacy. Like you said, like, oh, the cops show up in 1 minute and they don't question me. That's white supremacy, regardless of if it's like the hood wearing cross burning version of it.
No,
it still is that.
It's
and so they should the whole thing is that they realize that they benefit from supremacy. So they see it getting, dismantled, and oh my God, my internet connection is unstable. And they get scared that it's going to change. That's my point.
Yeah.
I mean, one simple thing that I'll say that I meant to bring up earlier is, and you've heard stories like this before, but it happened most recently to my knowledge, here in Arizona in Mesa. So like bumfuck Phoenix. So like outskirts Phoenix.
Watch out, man. Most of our viewers are from Mesa, Arizona.
Yeah, I'm about to have pitchforks.
No, they're not, because everyone in Mesa has traded in their laptop and phone for meth.
So a case in Mesa that just happened was this couple who has like a food truck. They're a black couple, black man, black woman. They had this food truck and they were doing a lot of the cooking in like this communal kitchen space. And one day they were having a meeting with the guy who owned the space, and the dude was acting really weird because it was just the woman and the white owner who were having the meeting at first. And he showed up in like an All Lives Matter shirt, and he was saying all this like inflammatory stuff. Like, if I remember correctly, he was talking about like South will rise again type stuff, Confederacy, being super pro cop, just out the blue. And it was just like a business meeting.
South will rise again. You're in Arizona, bro. Mexicans will kill you.
But like all the racist stuff he was saying at once. And she was texting her husband saying, hey, I'm uncomfortable, please come over. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll get over like ASAP. And I think he had like Uber or something because she had the car. Anyways, he gets there, and then it's the two of them meeting with this white guy, and he's sitting there, and they're like talking and everything, and all of a sudden, boom, gun to their head, and he's about to pull the trigger, and the husband immediately tackles the guy and is like restraining him, and they genuinely had to have a super long conversation, restraining this angry white guy with the gun, this angry racist with the gun. They had a super long conversation of, should we call the cops? Because they don't know what's going to happen if the cops see two black people fighting a white guy, even though the white guy's the one who pulled the gun.
Yeah. I had that conversation with my friend who is like pro 2A. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but just really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm pro gun ownership, all that stuff. And I was like, if I'm shooting back at somebody and they're shooting at me, when the cops show up, what am I supposed to do? Just be like, oh yeah, you go get them. Like I did the right thing. It's like, no, I have a gun too, and they're here to get an active shooter. It's like that makes me just want to like never own. Like it's like, what do I do? Like I'm trying to do the right thing and like defend myself and like my community from like this crazy shit, because that's obviously another fucking problem that we could delve into. But it's like my buddy's like, oh, you have to just put your gun down and just like get on the ground, and I'm like, yeah, I'd rather just not be there.
See, it's fucked up. That's a thought that's with their minds, and you hear that all the time in POC BIPOC communities where they'll like say there's a fight that's happening between them, whether or not it's like domestic abuse or just like a plain disagreement that happens sometimes with significant others or just people in general. It's always a question of, I can't call the cops, or more importantly, if my neighbor calls the cops or something, odds are that's always a death sentence. And even in cases where it's full on domestic violence, like say husband's beating the shit out of the wife and the wife's clearly not cool with it, and she hates this dude and she wants to leave, but she still doesn't want to call the cops because then this man will be dead. And for that matter, she could be dead too.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's just
like, that is the I think stuff like stories like that is the utmost evidence of a failed system. Well, I don't know. I'm just a kid in a chair.
So we had a strange number call our house and be like, I'm coming right now to your address to look at the meter outside your house, like the electricity meter. Mm-hmm. And we were like, who are you? And he's like, oh, SDG&E. It's just like a service. And we're like, do not come to our house. We didn't sign up for a service. We don't know what's going on. He's like, it's free. We're just coming. We're letting you know in case you have any dogs and whatever. Unlock the back gate. And we're like, no, do not to our house. If you come, like, it's going to be a problem. And he hangs up the phone. And so we're like, what do we do? And so we called the cops and we're like, hey, we just had a strange number call and say he's on our way to our house right now to check out our electric meter. You know, my mom's the same age as your parents. She's in her early mid 50s. So she's talking to this cop, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Mom, let him know that I am here with you. I'm a man. I will be outside. I'm a black man. She doesn't say anything. And I was like yelling at this point. I'm like, Mom, let him know I am a black man and I will be outside with you. And she was like, couldn't figure out why. And I like stopped her and I was like, don't hang up the phone. I was like, you need to let him know. And she starts telling the cop and he's like, why are you, I was like, what is this important? And she's like, I'm telling you that a man is going to show up to my house soon and to be here in case he shows up, and there's going to be a man outside, and I don't want you to show up and assume that my son that's standing outside is this person. And we had to have a conversation with the police. We had to be like, this is what he looks like, this is what my son looks like, just in case, because we don't want you to fucking show up and shoot me. I was like, Jesus Christ. It's like, what happened to asking thing is, what happened to asking questions?
There was a day that I had to, back when I worked for my university's newspaper, we were doing a story on Greek Row. I don't remember what it was, but it was like for print the next day. And I was a senior photographer at the time. So they were like, hey, you're always on call as a journalist because the industry sucks. And me being like one of the higher ups, I needed to handle it. They're like, hey, get to Greek Row right now and like just take some photos of all the buildings and everything. And I was like, okay, bet. It was winter at the time. So I'm wearing a big ass heavy coat and I'm walking around with a camera and a tripod. And I'm in the rich white area of campus. Just a bunch of rich white kids and all living on daddy's money or whatever. a tripod fully extended, that could look like a rifle to a stupid person.
Easy.
And I'm a black guy walking around in a big ass whatever. And say I don't have the tripod out, I have a gun. I have a camera, and I'm basically, it's like I'm looking into these white people's houses. I had to call the cops ahead of time, letting them know, hey, I was like, my name is Griffin Riley. I have my ID on me. I have my press pass on me. I'm dressed in these clothes. I'm carrying this equipment. If you have any calls, just I'm letting you know this is what it is, and I can confirm this with my editor for you guys. Like, because that's what I have to do for my safety, the way I saw it. And it's terrifying that I had to do that. And what's also fucking worse is that the dumbass dispatcher, I wish I remember what exactly she said. She's like, well, you're being a suspicious person. And I was like, I'm sorry? And she's like, yeah, you're being suspicious. And I was like, I don't understand what you're saying. She's like, I'm kidding with you. I'm like, I just told you. That's not the time. I am a black man in America in a college campus walking. Like, I was basically like, all right, go fuck yourself. I was pissed about that. That's not a joke.
That's insane.
When I'm literally calling you saying, please don't shoot me.
Yeah, hey, please. I'm walking around with something that an idiot might think is a long rifle.
My nigga, that's crazy.
Literally how we've been doing it.
Remember asking from me, take up your clothes.
Dude, it sounds like they're trying to do a Yoda impression.
You mean the Chaos Emeralds? I'm going to assume you mean the Chaos Emeralds, because if that's what you're concerned about, I've got one of them right here. Chaos Emeralds, President. Put your hand.
I thought Them was gonna be Us Part 2.
My mom keeps trying to force me to watch it, and she's like, "It's good.
My mom's
People are
the same
loving
thing.
it."
It's
I
Lena
still
Waithe.
refuse.
We don't want to.
No.
Yeah, let's not get into it.
What's
Anyways, Them is a show, Lena Waithe's TV show, and it's all about. It's all about.
That's fine.
Yeah, he heard all he needed.
Yeah.
Right there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she's the worst.
No, I don't know. I literally don't know who that is. So that's why I'm like, oh, I don't care.
That's okay.
Okay, cool, perfect. Let's not get into
Did you
it.
see Queen and Slim?
Did Vlad see Queen?
Vlad,
and
did you
Slim?
see Queen and Slim?
I literally don't know what that is.
Oh, wow.
I
Damn, he
wouldn't
really
have
doesn't
watched-
know about Lena Waithe.
I wouldn't have watched Queen and Slim unless I was forced to watch it.
Did you watch Master of None?
I've never seen Master of None.
I don't think Vlad could know who Lena Waithe is. Like, I don't.
If you showed
That's
Vlad
awesome.
a picture, of
I
Lena
wish
Waithe,
that
he'd
I
be like,
had
don't
his
know who that
life.
is.
How
I
do you
wish
spell
that
her
I
name?
knew a life without
Lena
Lena Waithe. Lena.
Like the like what's her name?
Lena
Right.
Dunham.
There's another Lena.
Lena Dunham.
No, there's
Oh,
another
she's
Lena
even
from
worse. Melina
from Game of
Mortal
Thrones. Her
Kombat.
name's Lena. Jesus Christ. I know who this.
Lena-
I know. I've seen this woman.
Yeah, she's.
Oh, she's in Ready Player One. She's in Ready Player One. That's
yeah.
one. That's the one thing Vlad would know her from.
Is she like?
She's the ogre dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, that woman sucks.
Yeah, I recognize her. She has a Chance 3 hat on, and it's way too big for her.
Oh
head.
yeah, of course she does.
What does that mean? That
My
album's
Queen and
great.
Slim thing that I was gonna say, I'll be
Anyway.
like mad quick since we're here. Queen and Slim, I will say, was a good movie. They just sent it to the wrong audiences.
Okay.
No, it wasn't.
Listen, Griff. Instead of opening your fucking
You
mouth
have a new
with your
point
trash
every time.
opinions,
The movie's
Whoa,
trash.
whoa,
No.
And
Let
it'll
me
never be
explain.
good.
Let me explain. Most black people's problem with Queen and Slim was that it was just it was realistic.
Dog shit.
Like, it was just most likely what would have happened.
That's exactly what I said about Queen and Slim.
The issue
Yeah, and it's
is
still dog shit.
Thanks for watching Indistinct Chatter. I'm Tanner.
I'm Austin.
I'm Griffin.
I'm Vlad, and this is Oscar.
Oh, it's so good. Thanks, guys.
Why don't you